So going back to lean principles and lean thinking, we come to number 3. This is flow. Enable the value to flow. We've defined what value is and we understand about the value stream. Now we want to make sure it flows through our organisation. So if you go back to the video that we looked at in the filter factory, that process didn't flow at all. It stopped and it started as the ladies moved around the workplace and they picked up boxes and they put them down again and they disappeared off camera to go and do various tasks. So that was a process that wasn't flowing at all. Have a look at this next video and see what you think.
Our packaging lines are designed to pack finished products according to our customers' demands using tag time production. The painted closes are routed onto the packaging lines 1 and 2 from the drying conveyors. Every 15th of the month, the production for the following month is leveled by the Production Planning and Control Department. In the monthly manpower operations meeting that follows a few days later, the operations plan for the month is decided, which includes the plan for the packaging section. This plan is clearly displayed on the process control board, which includes the Type 2 work combination, the worker's location chart, the daily production control sheet, and the realization chart. Every morning and afternoon, the materials planner will sequence the packaging output to be packed onto the start work instruction board. Kanban cards are inserted into the 20-minute interval slot of the start work instruction board, in accordance to the sequence of our customer's demand. This is done twice a day, once in the morning at 8:30 for the same afternoon pull, and again in the afternoon at 1:30 p.m. for the next morning pull. The quantity to be packed is in accordance to the tag time, which is also monitored on our electronic display board. Each packing station is designed with standard work instructions for each article number shown on the work instruction sheet. On average, we pack about 20 different article numbers for each line. The operator will flip to the correct work instruction sheet whenever there is a change in model or article to be packed. Parts and components for different packages are distributed through multi-layered supply chutes on the line side using Kanban. A variable time fixed quantity replenishment system is adopted through the use of a runner. Foolproof features such as the use of cameras or sensors are built into our packaging lines as part of our push to introduce more Jidoka features into our processes.
So this video was very different. The value flowed right the way through from raw materials to packaging and out through the door. If you notice, the pace was predictable, it was very reliable, it was very consistent, almost calm. In a lean workplace, you don't see people running around at high speed. You see a very calm and predictable workflow. And that's when you know that flow is really happening. All the workloads are balanced, so you don't have WIP building up, work in progress building up in between. You don't have stocks of inventory everywhere. You have everything just where you need it, when you need it. So there's another excellent book to refer you to here that really brings flow to life. And it's a book called The Goal by Ellie Goldratt. You'll find it in all good bookstores and online. And really it brings to life flow and all the lean principles in a really easy to understand and quite entertaining way. Highly recommended book. But when we're looking at flow, we're really looking at what are the things that are going to hold it up? What are the things that are going to cause us barriers to flow? And he really describes well the theory of constraints, looking at our operation, looking at our workflow to identify bottlenecks and constraints to flow where we've got less capacity than we require, hold-ups in our workflow. And what we're going to look at as well when we're looking at making sure flow works in our business, we're going to look at reliability of our equipment. If we've got breakdowns and unreliable equipment, that is going to interrupt our flow as well. When we learn how to recognise flow, we can learn how to recognise the barriers to flow as well and seek to rectify them. And when we've got it right, we know we've got it right because we're creating the right amount of product based on the demand of the customer, the right product mix depending on what the customer needs, and we're doing that in a reliable and a consistent way. And now we come to the fourth lean principle, and that is the principle of pull, letting the customer pull the value through the value stream according to their needs. And that can be quite an interesting concept to grapple with. So this came about through Taiichi Ohno's visits to the States and again to the supermarket, where he could see that there were cans of food on the shelf. There were maybe 5 rows of food, canned food on the shelf. Even though there was a pallet in the warehouse in the back there. And replenishment from the warehouse only happened when a customer took a can from the shelf and put it in their basket to go and purchase it. It was that activity of the customer taking the product that drove the replenishment from the warehouse. And that awoke in him an understanding of pull. Demand driven by the customer, not by us pushing work out into the operation. This next slide illustrates a little bit more. Traditionally in manufacturing, we would create large batches of product, create a load of finished product, store it in a finished goods warehouse perhaps, and then hopefully our sales force would go out and sell that product. That's typically a push workflow. It requires high levels of inventory, as we've heard. That's probably not a great thing. And perhaps you get to the point where the customer doesn't want that product anymore, or we need to do something differently. Pull, on the other hand, is driven by much smaller batches. As the customer demands it, it's pulled through the operation. It's much leaner, much more efficient, and a lot less costly in terms of operational efficiencies. And finally, we come to the fifth principle of lean, and that's to continuously pursue perfection. Now that can be a little bit misleading. We know perfection isn't really possible, but we're going to continue to nibble at the process and to improve the process gradually over time and keep that view of perfection in mind, although we know we're probably never going to get there. There was a famous American writer, Tom Peters, and he talked about how a 1% improvement across 1,000 ideas was much better than 1,000% improvement on one idea. And that's really encapsulates what we mean. We're looking for those small incremental improvements that are just going to get us gradually towards perfection. So that's the fifth principle. So that's all your 5 principles of lean. And taking those together and bearing those in mind as you go about your improvement activity will mean that your activities are more likely to be sustained over time.